All righty, everybody. Welcome. My name is Casey Lewis, and I'm with Rhino Pest Control Marketing. Let me, I'm working in a product called StreamYard. I'm not the greatest at it yet. So let me just make sure I got everything set up right. I got my comments set up. I can see people in there. I can put comments up here so that Foster, as we get going, he'll be able to answer and address those comments. So anyway, once again, my name is Casey Lewis. I'm with Rhino Pest Control Marketing. And today we're going to be doing, as an extension of our podcast and part of our new live streaming broadcast, an interview with Foster Brusca. Foster Brusca is part of um, the Pest Posse and the Pest Posse TV. Now, you have to excuse me because I'm used to doing a podcast. I'm not all that great at doing the live stuff. And so I have a monitor behind me. So when I'm looking up like this is because I'm actually reading notes or reading something. So, for instance, right now, what I'd like to do is I'd like to introduce Foster by giving him a bit of an introduction via his bio. I know some of you know who he is. Many of you may or may not know. You may know who Pest Posse is or not know. But Foster has over 30 years of experience. He honed his skills and expertise in the industry. Currently, he still has an active California operator's license, Branch 2, which is issued by the California Structural Pest Control Board. Started his career in 1993. He worked with companies like Terminix, Hydrix, and Clark Pest Control, where he gained very valuable experience in service and selling the residential and commercial client sales and management. And what I really want to say about Foster, well, a couple of years ago, maybe 2, 3 years ago, we met at one of these trade shows. In this particular case, it was with the Arizona Pest Control Association. And in the course of meeting him and his partner, Cully, we just kind of hit it off because we both had a mutual belief that we wanted to help the average pest control owner, business manager, sales leader, whatever, to be able to grow their business and compete with some of the bigger companies. And that's really sort of what their mantra is as well. Now, Foster um, had many years of selling 500,000 to $1 million annually in commercial pest control sales, and that's why I asked him to come on here today and share with us. He also has this book that's on Amazon that you can see, the fundamentals of pest control sales, which will have a lot to do with what we're going to talk about today in terms of how you, as an individual or an owner or a leader, can take your pest control, commercial pest control sales, that is, this year to the next level, to set some goals, to establish those goals, to go after them, to go achieve them. So I think with that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and bring Foster in, let him introduce himself to you. We have a slide presentation or some slides that Foster will go through as he walks you through this workshop on commercial pest control sales. So let me bring Foster in here. Hey, Foster, can you hear me and see me okay?
I can see you beautifully, Casey. Thank you so much for having me here today. I certainly do appreciate this opportunity. Hopefully, we're
No.
going to impart some good things into these people that are here. So,
Well, and I will manage for you your I'll bring up for you any questions, things like that that are coming
okay.
up through the comments field. And it looks like we got a bunch of people here that know each other as well. So I don't know if that's your group, my group.
It
I
always seems like that every time we start getting onto these webinars and these online things, people just all of a sudden just start knowing each other. And I know I do have a lot of people, and we've seen a couple of people chime in here saying hello and stuff. And I know some of those people that I have met before. So all of you that know me, welcome. Some of you will probably have heard this information we're going to talk about today, but there's some different new things I've got on here as well too. So hopefully that will all help you out. Maybe get a reminder, because it's always good to just continually train, Casey. That's one thing we're really a big proponent with here at the Pest Posse. It's continually training, not just hearing something once and then being done with it.
No, that way repetition is what it takes. And those of you here in the comments, like Nanette, I'll show stuff like this where Nanette is asking how to get into manufacturing facilities. She's talking about door knockings, not necessarily the best way to do that. So these are the kinds of things that we'll get into. And what I'll do is let me get this set up for you, Foster.
Okay.
And then really, if you want to do a little bit more of an introduction of actually what your background is, your success in commercial pest control for the people that don't know who you are that are here, maybe from my podcast or other sources. We've been promoting this for about a month now.
Yep.
Why don't you go ahead and take over?
Okay, I will do that. Yeah, and you can put the slide deck we have up, because we definitely made that work, and I should be able to forward through that, so you can take Nanette's comment off of there, and we should be able to get that slide brought up there while Casey's doing that and pushing all the buttons on the back end, because sometimes it's not always there we go. Look at that. There we go. We made stuff work, and I should be able to advance this pretty easily. But yeah, I mean, Casey did give me a good introduction there and talked about a lot of my experience. I mean, I really pride myself on really, the 30 years that I've been in the industry, and it's been a long storied career. I just can't believe all the things that I've done, but I would say that I really found my niche in the industry as far as really helping people solve problems and getting to know people. And that's really through sales and through the success I had with sales. I put all of that success down in that book that Casey showed there, The Fundamentals of Pest Control Sales, because I had a lot of people asking me, how was I successful with sales? What did I do? That book's not a rah-rah shish boom bob book. It's the true down and dirty fundamentals of pest control sales. It's maybe some things that you've heard of, maybe some things that you haven't or even really thought about, to really kind of guide you that way. And, I did spend 14 years as an outside commercial salesperson for Clark Pest Control. That's who I was with. But in that time, and immediately I realized that I needed to create a really different, I wouldn't say persona of who I was, but the word sales really drew people away from what I was trying to do. And I created account manager, that title for myself. And I was very fortunate that my branch manager let me call myself an account manager, because I managed accounts. I managed commercial accounts. And that really showed by my sales success how that title worked, because as Casey mentioned, I was the first one at the company I was working with. At the time, it was the largest family-owned and operated company in the United States, largest on the West Coast. And I was the first one to do $500,000 in commercial sales. I used technology. I used a lot of these skills that I have that we're going to show you today to be successful with that. And once I hit that $500,000 mark, I broke sales records. And even one year I hit over $1 million in annualized commercial sales. So I would say I've been very, very successful with that. And I've taken that passion and that knowledge. And, 2019, I decided to focus full time with my business partner, Cully, here on the Pest Posse. And this year, I've taken kind of the sales aspect of what we have here at the Pest Posse and my knowledge. And I've created, as you can see on the slide here, the Pest Control Sales Authority site. And we'll give you guys a QR code and where you can go and look at that, to really just have a place where you can get in to become a sales authority and learn pest control sales. So I'm really excited about launching that and having that niche area where you guys can go to and learn some things about sales, even be able to purchase my book pretty easily, a link that'll take you over to Amazon. So I know that's kind of a long story thing as far as who I am and all that, but I really try to make things fun and engaging, and really try to bring some good wisdom and insights for people, so that way they can increase, their sales success, because commercial sales is very lucrative and it can make you a lot of money. And the pest control industry is a great industry. So, I'm just going to jump right into this. I should be able to advance these slides. Yep, I should be able to do that very easily. And really what we're going to focus on today is really talking about commercial customers, what those are all about, and really how to prospect for them, and how to really define what a commercial customer is. Really not going to go too much into residential. A lot of these practices that I'm talking about, you guys can do for residential, but I think the biggest thing is I know Casey asked me that he's had a lot of people ask him, how do we get into commercial services? How do we sell to commercial accounts? Well, it really starts first with really knowing what these commercial customers are. And it's really not an easy thing to define, unfortunately, because there's just such a gamut of commercial customers that you might not think are commercial customers. And I'll get into that in a minute. But you need to realize that selling to commercial customers can take some time. It's a very, very lengthy, what we call sales process. It's not like residential where you're going to show up to Mrs. Jones's house. You're going to propose a service. There is a solution there. She has a problem. You're going to take care of it. Maybe start the service right then and there. Commercial customers, it's not that way. It can be, I tell people really at the minimum, look at 90 days as far as how long it's going to take to close that customer. You might be able to get lucky with some restaurants and some other things that you might be able to close them a little bit quicker. But typically 90 days is really what your thought process needs to be with these commercial accounts. And I have had some that I worked on for several years, 5 years before I was able to close them. You have to be consistent and you have to have tools in place to make sure that you're not missing these follow-ups. And I'll get into that here in a minute. They can be very detailed, but you need to understand what the details and the nuances of those commercial customers are, because there is a lot of stuff that's going on with and moving pieces with commercial customers that maybe you're not normally, dealt with residential or day-to-day business stuff. So if you're going to get into commercial stuff, you need to realize there's a lot of nuances and a lot of things. And I even have people ask me, it's like, well, Foster, how can I learn everything about commercial accounts? Well, you never will, because I still haven't. I still find things to these days that I run into that I'm like, I had no idea. So that's something to keep in mind. So when we're looking at these commercial accounts, I always tell people when they're looking at getting into selling commercial services, you really need to define, what are you going to be going after? What niche are you going to be going after? You never want to just say, okay, I'm going to do commercial services. I'm going to go after commercial services. That's what we're going to do. We're going to start selling to commercial accounts. We're going to make lots of money. Yay. No, you're going to fail. Sorry. You're just going to fail, because there is so much involved with commercial customers, and maybe you might not realize what you're dealing with there is a commercial customer. I know that might sound silly, but a prime example is that you might have a homeowners association that's got a bunch of individual standalone single family homes. Well, that's a commercial account, because you might be dealing with a property manager. So you really need to step back and you really need to figure out what is your niche? What are you going to be selling to? Defining what that is and not hopscotching all over the place. I had a real good example of this. A salesperson for the company I was working with, brand new to the industry, brand new to sales. He was in a really neat territory that was really spread out, and he wasn't really having any success because he was going all over the place trying to figure out and just selling to anything and everyone. Well, I told him to step back and define his niche. What did he want to go after? What was in his area? What did he have the most in there? Well, he had wineries. So this gentleman became proficient at selling to wineries. He learned the wine industry, the processing parts of it. He learned about tasting rooms. He had a lot of tasting rooms, a lot of production facilities. He knew what their issues were with those facilities and started selling to those facilities and became, again, hugely successful at that, and then was able to expand out his portfolio of customers he was going to, and really became successful at sales. And to this day, he's the sales manager, the corporate sales manager. So he's, really progressed and been successful at sales. Now, when we talk about that, defining your niche, the best way you guys are going to do that, and every company should have this for residential and commercial, is really building that buyer persona. That is huge. You need to be doing that. You need to be having a buyer persona. And really what this is It's just as it says here. It's a fictional profile of your ideal customer. And with commercial, yes, that's hugely important, because what that's going to help you do, it's going to help you define where you need to go. And that's what that gentleman did with the wineries. That's a very, very good example with that. He understood that he was going to go after wineries. Okay. He wasn't really worried about, as this says up here on the screen, this example here is about restaurants, but he wasn't worried about, the years they were in business, the locations. He really kind of had him in his territory that he was at. So he was a little bit spread out. He knew that the business owners, how the structures were. He knew their struggles. A lot of them were with flies, with rodents. And he knew that what their pain points were, trusting those vendors, having consistent services, same technicians. So he did build this buyer persona, and it really helped him. Once he figured out what his niche was and what commercial accounts that he wanted to go after, building the buyer persona helped him out hugely. It helped him get to where he needed to go to be successful. So before you guys start anything and start jumping into this, you need to step back and look at that. And I can't emphasize enough, don't go after national accounts unless you can service national accounts. And that's really even with commercial accounts. Don't service commercial accounts you have no ability and you have no personnel to do it. Prime example is 1 million square foot under roof food processing facility or warehouse. If you're a 2-man operation, you don't have the personnel, and you really shouldn't be looking at getting into those commercial services, because they're going to be very demanding, and they may want a technician out there 5 days a week, 8 hours a day. And that's going to take away from the personnel that you have, and you're not going to be able to service the other things. So that's the other thing you really need to be looking at when you're getting into commercial accounts, is once you've defined that and looking at that and getting that buyer persona, can you really have the personnel to do that? And when we look at also too with these commercials, I think a big thing, and this is a big thing for me, and I've seen a lot of salespeople fail, is when, again, they start hopscotching all over the place and they really don't define their territory as far as where are they at, where are they going. Yes, if you've got a company that you've got a huge radius service area, maybe it's where you've got customers that are an hour and a half out, because that's just the way it is between towns. I know that there's companies out there that have that, where they've got a town and there's nothing in between this town and the other town, and it's an hour drive. Well, that's fine. If you have that, still define that territory, define that area where you're going to niche down at and where you're going to do those commercial services at, and stay in those areas. Maybe go to the furthest point out and work your way back in. Or better yet, stay in the area that you're comfortable with, that you're in that community, that you've got a lot of services with, that maybe you got a branch office there. Stay right there close into that area and build that area up, and then expand out, so you can have the personnel to do that, so you can not be running all over the place. Because really with commercial accounts, you can really make the customers upset if you cannot service them in a timely manner, because they can be demanding. Like I said, they can be things that they're going to want. They're not going to want to wait a week, 4 days for you to do an extra service. Some of them are going to want service that same day. And you got to be able to provide that and have the personnel to be able to do that. So this is all going to help you as far as getting into commercial services first, taking these baby steps first to look at, can you handle commercial accounts? What's in your area? Defining your niche, buyer persona, looking at the territory. So those are really the first steps. I would say anybody that's out there right now that's not into commercial services, you're looking at getting into this in 2025, do these steps first. Do your homework first, and just don't jump into this and go, okay, well, guess what? Tomorrow we're going to start selling commercial accounts. It's probably going to take you some time. Be patient. Rome wasn't built in a day. Okay. So you've got all of this. You've built all this. There's really going to be a way where you need to figure out, how are you going to then prospect to these customers? How are you going to get in front of them? How are you going to be able to just find out where they at and getting, like I said, in front of them? And there's really only 3 techniques, and that's really your online networking, cold calling, and door knocking. Those are really going to be the 3 ways you're going to get in front of commercial customers. That's really the only way you're going to do it. And it's true with residential, with any customers, but never more so with this. And also too, with these prospecting techniques, as far as, yes, we have online networking, but in-person networking. And I don't think I go too much into this, but that's going to help you as far as getting to know, how to get past the gatekeeper and everything. So let's just go into these prospectings real quick. So online networking, really involves, again, using something like LinkedIn. If you guys don't have a professional LinkedIn profile for you individually and maybe one for your company, you really should do it. I tell people that, are selling to commercial accounts, don't do stuff through Facebook. Facebook is unprofessional. LinkedIn is a professional networking site. And you need to be careful of what you're putting out there as far as online with this. And when you build this profile of yours, like I said, LinkedIn is the way to do it. TikTok, I'm sorry, isn't. X isn't. Blue Sky isn't. Instagram isn't. Facebook isn't. LinkedIn has been designed and is for professional networking. It's starting to slide a little bit more into some personal stuff, but it is more professional and it's designed for professional. I really built a strong LinkedIn profile. I do have, my masterclass, and when my book as well too goes in as far as how to set up that profile, and it really can help you out with doing that. And that really even goes with when you're looking at networking in person, really doing that in a professional way, Chamber of Commerce, associations, things like that. And we'll get into that here in just a second. Cold calling is just that. Cold calling is not dead. People think that cold calling is dead. But it's not. You can still pick up the phone to these days. You can set things up. You can call customers. That also goes along with cold calling, also goes right along with door knocking. It's the same thing, door to door. And I would say that really anybody that's out there that's got technicians that are running services and maybe doing even a couple of commercial accounts and some restaurants, you really should be doing that with commercial as well too. Every technician should be doing that. So that's one as well too. So, yeah, I see Taylor Clark is saying Chat GPT. Well, yeah, you could use that to help you out. AI is a whole nother ball of wax and a monster that we're not going to get into, with that. But that really, this door to door really will help you. You really need to look at it as far as clover leafing, looking at if you're doing, maybe you got a restaurant in a strip mall and there's 3 or 4 restaurants in that strip mall. When's the last time you went and knocked on those doors as the technician or even as the salesperson, and just introduced yourself? You need to be doing that. Everybody needs to be doing door-to-door selling. You don't need to build a whole team. You don't need to be having a whole thing. It's definitely going to help you out as far as doing this door-to-door. Everybody should be doing it, and there's different ways that you can do that. So when we're looking at, we've got this, a lot of people ask, how do you get in front of decision makers? And I can tell you that this is something I learned the hard way. I'm proud to say that I was very stubborn trying to get in front of people. And when I started into sales and outside sales and trying to do this door-to-door stuff, I got kicked out of facilities multiple times because I would never give up. And I found that the way to do that is you've got to get involved in trade associations or local associations like your Chamber of Commerce, like I mentioned. If you guys are in a smaller market, you might not have a very strong Chamber of Commerce, but at least you should join that because that's going to help you out. You need to look at, these BNI, the Business Network International. I believe that's what BNI stands for. Those are okay. I think that they're a little bit hoity-toity. That's just me with the BNI. They do demand a lot from you. You've got to give a lot with them. But, associations like the International Facility Managers Association, everybody should look at that. Yes, it costs money to join that, but look at your area. Look and see if they've got a chapter in your area, because that's going to get you in front of the high-tech stuff. I know with food processing and warehousing that there are associations where you can get in front of that, but you're going to have to find associations to start networking. And that's, again, getting online and doing that. That's going to help. Yeah, this person here said BNIs are awesome. Yeah, they can be pretty awesome, but you got to give a lot to those BNIs in order for those to be successful. That's just been my experience. I've never really found them to be too fruitful. My biggest thing that I did was, belonging to the local chapter of the International Facility Managers Association. That was able to get me into Google. That was able to get me into SAP. I have a lot of big high-tech stuff here, and those were able to get me into those doors and talk to those people, because you can't just go and knock on those doors with some people. And even those food processing plants where they've got the guard shacks, you've got to find, is there a networking association where you can go and meet those people? And that's just building those relationships. And that's why you got to use LinkedIn. Once you meet that person, maybe at a community event or a Chamber of Commerce event, you network with them, you connect with them on LinkedIn, you build those relationships with them. That's really going to help you as far as getting in front of these decision makers. This person here says, BNI can be great, but it can be a waste of mass of time, varies by group. Exactly. That's what I'm saying. There's a lot that the BNIs want.
Yeah, I did a lot of these networking groups and so forth, and I think they're different by the community. Some of them are a clique, and all they're looking for is to bring new members in to get themselves leads.
Exactly.
You can find a good one in which there's nobody in any associated market or competing market, and then you can still be the man for pest control. And even that can be an outreach for both commercial and regular, because you can become the local pest control guy. Anyway, sorry, I just had to say something. I've been sitting here sucking my thumb for half an hour.
Chomping at the bit. You need to say something. Yeah. And Nick was wondering, what's the international one again for food services? I don't know what the international one for food service. The IFMA one, International Facility Managers Association, those are really kind of for the high tech. I know that there's got to be something for warehousing and for food processing. I know that there is something out there. I'm not sure of the name of that. I never really networked with them. But even getting into this International Facility Managers Association, it depends on your area. It might be more niche to those food processing that's in your area, because that's what's in the area. These are facility managers and engineers that are with that association. So I would say look it up and see what's there.
Well, and I know in a minute, Foster, you're going to get into proposing and maybe some promotional ways to get into it. And one of our biggest accounts and clients we've had for a number of years is in the San Joaquin Valley.
Yep.
And there's all kinds of food processing and commodity fumigation and a number of things that go on out there. But Foster, what's the chicken processing? Foster something.
Well, there's Foster Farms, and then there's Taylor Farms. And
Foster Farms one time got shut down for something. There was cockroaches or something.
Yep. I remember that. Yep.
It was costing them, I think, somewhere in the neighborhood of $400,000 a day.
Yep.
They ended up in a lawsuit because the pest control company didn't show up for several days because they were one of the larger. Yep. And so as a result of that failure, it cost Foster Farms about $1 million just to get recertified, get back up into play.
Yep.
And so our company, we were able to use some collateral materials for them to go out and essentially offer up a free audit in the marketplace to say, look, we'll come and do this 10-point audit for no money, no nothing. We just want the opportunity to give you our spiel. And their basic value proposition was the fact they were local. And if there was an emergency, they were going to be in there within hours and not days to get it solved. Anyway.
Exactly. And that all goes to, and that's a really good point, Casey. And that's all going back to what I'm talking about with commercial services. Do you have the personnel to be able to provide that and do that? And when you see a need that's in an area like that, do you have the personnel to do that? Because some of these food processing plants, this Foster Farms is a good example. They're not going to want to wait 4 days a week for a problem, because it's going to impact them. There might be recalls with food product that's going to come of that. And if you're the pest control company providing the service for that and you can't respond in a timely fashion, you're going to be all messed up. Your reputation's going to be hurt, and it might hurt your business and negatively impact it more so than you've ever known. So those are ways that you can really get into those with that. And I was just looking at the comment here with what Taylor was saying. Yeah, he's saying, what does your follow-up procedure look like when dealing with under contract, not now leads, long decision maker windows, etc., to help residential sales team transition to longer sales windows, keeping consistent follow-up. I mean, really with the follow-up process, it's so hard because people have asked that, and it's getting a little off topic to what we have here. I don't think I might go a little bit into the end here as far as follow-ups, but really it's going to depend on the customer, and it's really going to depend on when you're proposing that service to that customer, what their feeling is and how they are and what they're all about. There's no hard and fast rule with that. Following up every single day with a commercial customer until they get on service with you is not the way you should be doing it. I would say waiting anywhere from 3 to 7 days before you do that follow-up is going to be the best procedure to do, because if you do it too often, you're going to be that naggy salesperson, and now you're hard selling, and you're going to lose all day long, and they're just never going to respond to you. So it might seem like far out for that, but it's not, because there might be multiple people involved. There might be, if it's a warehousing or a large food processing, that they're going to have to give 30-day notice. Okay. Maybe they're looking at a new budgeting cycle that's, 90 days out of starting with that new pest control company, because that new budget's coming in, and that's what they're looking at. So you got to be mindful of and asking those questions when you initially meet with the customer. When are you looking at starting the service? Why are you looking at a new pest control company? What's going on with your current one? Asking all those qualifying questions are going to help. And it's going to help you once you get in front of those customers. So that's really going to help you out with that. And really, let's just get kind of back on track here and diving into, these follow-up procedures and helping you with that, to making sure you're not missing anything. And that's using what I call here is a true CRM. And this is something that, I've been beating this horse for a while, and it's really using a true customer relationship management software. And there's a big difference between that and a customer database. And I'll go into that because it's really going to help you improve on those lead conversions and help you nurture the customer, and making sure that you're doing those follow-up consistently and correctly and in the right time, because it's going to automate all of that process that you're going to want to do with these customers. So all of this is building blocks, as you start with defining your niche, going after commercials, getting in front of these decision makers, looking at, how you're going to do that. You need some place where you can put all this information. Are you going to be offering a free service for these people, of maybe a free assessment? You need to have a place where you can track all of this information. Maybe do some automated emails. Maybe you've networked with some people and you've got their emails. You've networked with them on LinkedIn. You've got their emails. You can send them automated emails and offering them free assessment, offering them to come in there and to do a side-by-side comparison. The only way you're going to be able to do that is you have to have some sort of way to do that. And usually CRMs are going to have maybe a little bit of an email marketing program in there, maybe using an email marketing program. When you look at customer databases, a lot of them do, but they don't. And they're not designed for nurturing this customer's journey from the beginning all the way to becoming a true customer. So when we look at this, this is a really good slide for people to really understand the difference between a CRM and a customer database. There is a huge difference between it. And I know why things like FieldWorks, Field Routes, PestPack, Gorilla Desk, all of those, it doesn't matter what your flavor is. I know why they're calling them CRMs, because it's just like how IPM was, brought into the pest control industry. It was easy to do, and everybody knew what IPM was. Everybody knows what a customer relationship management software is, and they think that their customer database is that, and it's not. It's a depository. It's a repository for customer information. It's really just part of the operational management for companies. It gives you basic contact storage. There's really little to no automation with that. And it really just focuses on, having the chemical usage, maintaining the operations, doing the invoicing for the customers. It really doesn't nurture the customer like a true CRM does, like HubSpot, like Zoho, like Salesforce. A true CRM is going to track the customer from its infancy to when you knock on the door or you define the niche and you want to go after this customer to it becoming a regular customer. It's going to automate those follow-ups for you. It's going to put those tasks and those action items, and you can send emails and you can do email marketings with those true CRMs. Yes, some of these customer databases do some email marketing, but they truly don't do them and report on them like CRMs. CRMs is going to give you those tools that you want.
Let me interject a little bit here because
Yep.
one of the things, so we have been a HubSpot partner here at Rhino for 15 years since they were a small startup. And one of the ones that's not in here for CRMs is High Level. And I'll just throw that out there because it's been around about 4 or 5 years, but I think it's just finally getting to the point to where it can be a good alternative. And when you look at field routes was initially Pest Routes. Pest Routes bought Lobster Marketing and became Field Routes, and recently they just fell flat on their face. They got rid of that whole side of the house because they realized, to your point, Foster, that managing and maintaining a sales-oriented customer relationship management tool and database is very different than maintaining something that's really designed for billing, for customer service follow-up, for GPS tracking, that kind of thing. So I would say that, just to add on to what you're saying, when you're a sales rep and you're doing a good job, so you decide you are going to go for it, you are going to sell 500,000 or more in commercial, and you start doing these things that Foster is recommending, if you do a good job at it, it's very easy to become overwhelmed. You've got all of these different leads in all of these different stages in your pipeline, and you're trying to stay on top of it. And a CRM can automate that entire process for you and bring it to the point where now they want to talk to you. They want to have that very important meeting to allow you the opportunity to sell them something. So I was just wanted to emphasize that a little bit, Foster, because I think that this may be the single most important element to putting everything you're going to go do together. But you also have to learn how to use it, and you have to overcome your fear of technology and just get it done.
Well, that's exactly it. And I know we're getting some comments here as far as, is there a CRM that truly plays with a customer database? And I would say that all of these CRMs, with the way technology is and integrations and what we call APIs, you should be able to contact your customer database that you like and have it integrated. I can tell you right now that back in the day when we started using Salesforce, we had it talk to PestPack. We were able to do that. And this was 12 years ago when we did this. A lot of things have changed and technology has changed a lot. And I would say with these CRMs, if you guys want to start out using a CRM and not investing anything, HubSpot's going to be your winner, because for free, HubSpot is very robust what they offer. And yes, I know that I've heard like Gorilla Desk and some other ones have like a sales module and some things in there, but I would still challenge you to take a look at a true CRM like High Level, like HubSpot, like Salesforce.
And what I'll do, I'll throw something in there for you. And I try really hard not to pitch our business on these.
But you have to sometimes. It's okay.
No, it's all right. I mean, we've got a couple hundred hours right now invested in this very question. And I'm not going to take us down a rabbit hole, but here's what I will tell you. When you have two databases, one which is managing your customers, and people are asking which one's the best, I kind of, just so you know, I kind of fall on Pest Routes and Gorilla Desk. Chris Mareshi and I have done a couple of podcast episodes.
Yep.
I just hope that Chris doesn't take Gorilla Desk too far over to trying to become more than what it should. Then when
Yes.
you look on the left, in my opinion, HubSpot is absolutely the best CRM, and they're also the best at enticing you with that free one, and they'll
Yep.
get just enough to get you to really want to buy all the rest of it.
Exactly.
But then when you really want to set it all up, high level, I think, is going to be the most cost effective. And we have several clients on both HubSpot, the whole thing, the full HubSpot
Yep.
software package, and go high level. And then when you start talking about feeding the data, that's called an API integration. I'm not going to get too deep in that.
Yep.
But what we're also finding is really what you want is the data in the CRM when you've completed it and sold it to feed its way into your billing software, whether it's Field Routes, BrioStack, Gorilla Debt, whatever it is,
Yep.
and not the other way around. So
Exactly.
there is some redundancy, but what you're really doing is you're managing two groups of people: leads, new inquiries, opportunities, and then customers over on the other side. Sorry, Foster, I'll jump
No,
back.
and it's a good point. No, I don't mind you chiming in, and it's a very, very good point, because this is, this is something that I'll probably go through and maybe make a real high level course on, because it is such a touchy subject. Not a lot of people understand it. And I can tell you right now that I would not have been able to sell $500,000 all the way up to over $1 million in commercial services without a true CRM. We used Salesforce. It was daunting. It was difficult, but I used it. And if I wouldn't have had that, I wouldn't have been able to track things. I wouldn't have been able to stay on top of it. PestPack didn't do that. Okay. You make a very, very good point. There is two totally different buckets of people that we're dealing with as salespeople. And you guys need to realize that just because, somebody who's mentioned here, Pest AI and all this stuff and having stuff integrated, you really need to step back and look at what's going to work for you, because you are going to have two systems that are going to talk to each other. And you should be able to have these talk to each other, because the way technology is these days, it can happen. And there's ways that it can happen. And I know that this can work, because I hate to say it, back in the day, we made Salesforce talk to PestPack. It was not a difficult thing to do. We made it happen back then. So yes, it can happen. It's just a matter of you taking the time, and there might be some investments with that you have to do. And high level might be able to do that as well too. Any of these might be able to, but you really need to have something for your salesperson for that. So that is really important.
We're going to do, just so those of you who are on, this is going to be something we're doing, these interview, workshop, discussions every month. And the next one coming for us is actually going to be all on high level, how to integrate it for pest control, and then how to use it effectively to sell, to add value to your sales, as opposed to just always getting leads and having a conversion rate in the single digits. That's not going to work. Anyways.
Yep. It's not going to work. It's not going to work. Yeah. So I know we're going kind of long on this and stuff. We've already kind of said here why a CRM is better. I don't think I need to berate this anymore and go through this, but we've already kind of talked about this as far as why this CRM is better, what it does here for you guys. When we look at this, I think the next thing to really kind of help you guys successful, and I'm going to kind of breeze through this quickly, but with my sales masterclass that I do have available through the Pest Control Sales Authority site, you can get my masterclass. I kind of deep dive into proposal softwares. It's not using Microsoft Word or G Suite. You need something that looks professional, especially if you're going to go into commercial accounts. You need something that's going to look professional, something that is going to enhance that customer confidence that you know what you're doing. It's going to reflect that professionalism. The two I can recommend is Canva and Smarter Launch. Canva has a great free platform. The paid one is well worth the money for it, but free will definitely get you where you need to go, and definitely going to help you put together some really nice proposals. Smarter Launch is a great platform that has been designed for the pest control industry by pest professionals. So it does have a higher learning curve, but it is great. Like I said, Canva here, you can see there's a little picture here of a proposal that we've done. in Canva here. This one here is for the Pest Posse 2, our service division we have with the Pest Posse. It's very versatile. It's very easy to use. It's a drag and drop. Again, it's free. They're not going to, bait and switch you with stuff. We had the free version here at the Pest Posse for about a year before I pulled the trigger to have the paid platform. It works really, really well to make great looking proposals for your customers. Smarter Launch, yes, is phenomenal. It's really like building a mini website for your customer. And I love some of the features that Smarter Launch has. And they have new features rolling out all the time, but it does take some time to learn it. But once you're able to learn it, you're going to be able to easily put together a great proposal for that. The proposals look awesome. I wish we would have had something like Smarter Launch. I was lucky with the company I was with. We actually built an in-house proposal program I was privy enough to work on and help develop. And I could tell you that, again, my sales increased when we put those professional looking proposals in front of people that weren't just Microsoft Word documents. The sales increased. And Smarter Launch really can take this to another level. It's a great, great platform that is totally customizable for the pest control industry. So I encourage you to contact those people at Smarter Launch, take a look at it, look at Canva. I do go into it a little bit more in depth, and I don't want to do too much because we don't want to run too long here. I know, Casey, we were talking about, being the closer, talking about follow-ups and doing that. This big thing here with being the closer, this here starts at the beginning when you start all of this process going and talking in front of customers. Being the closer starts at the beginning, at your very first initial contact to that customer. It's not just at the end when you think you might be closing the sale. It starts at the beginning. It starts at that proposal that you have that you're presenting to the customer, that you have a professional looking proposal that you're giving to the customer. And you're presenting the right solution to the customer. Don't ever use boilerplate documentations. I mean, real quick story. I haven't gone into a lot of stories here, but I had the great privilege of being able to bid on a very large sports stadium with a very prestigious sports franchise. And we went in, and it was basically going to be, if we bought their marketing, they were going to give us the pest control. That's just the way that it rubbed with that. When we went into their marketing presentation, we were presented with a lot of neat swag and just wooed with their facility and everything. But when it came time to showing us the marketing, everything was stuff that was printed out, that was boilerplate, that was all website stuff. Nothing was customized with the company name or anything like that. They didn't have a PowerPoint presentation, and these people wanted over $200,000 a year on marketing, and they gave us all boilerplate stuff. I came back in 2 weeks later to do the pest control proposal, and I blew them away because I did a PowerPoint presentation and I had a custom bound presentation for everybody in attendance. And it showed. We didn't get it because, again, the pest control wasn't going to be $200,000 a year, and we weren't going to put in the money to do that advertising. But it was a lesson learned that you got to be professional. You got to show up being prepared to really be the closer at all times. This starts with that initial inspection, with the initial meeting with the customer, all the way up to the end. So this is, they're asking there, so using field routes, high level, Smarter Launch all together. So that's going to be hard to get all of those to talk together.
It is. I tell you what it is. So we're doing this with a client right now out of Kentucky, and he's kind of purchased all of these things, and they haven't really yet put them together in a consistent, cohesive plan, start to finish. And so, Gabriel, Ron there, field routes, high level, and Smarter Launch can all work together through integration. It's not easy to do. You're going to need a developer to help you. But once you do it, it's beautiful. So, for example, here at Rhino, we use HubSpot and we use Proposify both together. So when I get a lead and they want to see a proposal, I click on Proposify. It integrates with HubSpot. It creates the deal, puts it in the stage I want. I send it. When they get it and they sign it, it notifies me that it's now been signed. It moves it to the next stage in the pipeline. It sends out all the automation associated with that. And and what you're looking at there, Gabrielle, the question to you and Ron is that would be an absolutely wonderful set of technology products to put together to do exactly what Foster is teaching you here, which is get organized, get out there, get in front of them, keep it going, close the deal.
Exactly.
Not for me. Sorry.
Oh yeah. No, and it's all good because it's, again, this all technology and getting all these pieces to talk together is important, and it needs to be done, and it can be done. Taylor's saying that, that there are trigger rules in field routes. Great. If field routes has that API and that stuff to have all those talk together easily, great. That's a great customer database to get and to use, because all that stuff can talk together if it does.
Taylor, after you get in the middle of that and this thing starts having troubles with you, let me know. We'll be happy to help you.
Exactly.
You're walking into the swamp there, but you got the right idea.
Yeah, well, that's what it is. And all those that he's mentioning are all different and all have different things. So, yeah, it just needs to be streamlined and not, yeah, exactly. That's the big thing, is having to streamline it, and you can streamline it. But again, like Casey said, and like I'm saying, if you haven't picked up on this, you need to be all organized. You need to know where you're going and where you want to go in order to get there. And you got to be organized, and you have to have these tools together. And you're probably going to have to spend some money and some investment to do this, to get organized like this, if you're going to go in and take your business to the next level using all of these systems. It's not saying that you have to do all this. You can use all these separately and have them stand alone, but you're going to have to manage them a little bit differently. Okay. Yeah, it says, okay, I'm deep into the waters, fortunately, very familiar with the APIs and connecting platforms.
I think exactly. I'm getting called out, but that's okay. Challenge accepted. No, this is part of the fun in our business, is trying to figure this stuff all out.
Exactly. So like I said, I don't want to go too much into this and keep too long, again, just closing the sale. This is all basic stuff that people really should be, using. You really shouldn't be using aggressive transition questions to close the sale. You need to be having a powerful statement, reiterating what solution you can offer to the customer. Again, this is all about relationship-based selling. That's what my book goes through. That's what I talk about with that. Doing that, as far as having that good relationship with the customer and building that up. That's all really what this is doing here. And really, this is kind of getting in closing here as far as the action items that I put here. We all want action items. It's great. Even with my book, I set this up as far as action items at each chapter to let you do things. And really what this is, if you're going to get into commercial services, create that buyer's persona, start using a true CRM, start using a professional proposal platform, get into LinkedIn, set up a good LinkedIn profile, look at additional sales training resources. There are available out there. There's a lot of things out there that you can use as far as increasing your sales. And in commercial stuff, I mean, we just, this whole thing, we could have gone in a different direction just talking about technology. And real quick plug, it's going to be fun for me, because next week on Wednesday at the Purdue Pest Management Conference, I am going to be speaking about technology to leverage your pest control sales. And we're going to touch a little bit on this whole CRM, customer database platform, and using professional proposals. But yes, getting all this stuff and synchronizing it all together is going to be tough, but it can be done. And you're probably going to have to hire a developer and a smart kid that can put all this stuff together, because the way technology is these days, everything can talk to each other. It's just a matter of how is that going to look. But you need to be using all of these processes that we talked about here today in order to have this stuff work for you and everything. And this is, Gabriella was asking if we're going to be talking about this at the Women in Pest Control Service and conference in March. And we'll be going into a little bit into this. It's going to be more about the fundamentals of sales. We might tweak that presentation a little bit to try to go a little bit more into this technology part of it. But, I just want to let everybody know, as far as resources and everything, Casey mentioned the book that I do have really focuses on commercial services. I do have the masterclass that I said. The biggest thing that, proud to really launch is this Pest Control Sales Authority this year. You guys can go into that, scan that QR code, look at that site, go into that website. You can also find a link to that at pestposse.com. And that's really going to help you with that. And that site's all going to be developing more and more. And I know I'll be getting into stuff as far as technology and looking at integrating stuff as we build out that website and everything. So there's a question. Am I going to be talking about this at the Women in Pest Control conference in March? And we will be talking a little bit about technology and integrating technology with your sales. So have a way to grab them in bulk. What are you talking about, Taylor, as far as grabbing them in bulk?
I think she wants a box of your books.
Well, put that in the comment if you do. Then if you got your address and stuff, or you got some contact information, I can always get in touch with you. You can always get in touch with that, or you can go into pestposse.com, pestpossesales.com. There's contact forms there. You can reach out. The books, I wanted to get them for my sales team. Yeah, please go into pestposse.com. Look for the contact form, Taylor. Say that you found us talking about that, and I can figure out a way to get some books. I've got some books here. We can get them in bulk. You can always buy multiple copies through Amazon. You can always do that as well too. I can help you out with that as well too. So we could definitely be looking at that. So and Nanette's great. Nanette's a great supporter there. If you haven't read my book, you're missing out. Bug Bible of Sales Books. Thank you, Nanette. I appreciate that.
All right. So we, as we're getting right down to it, Foster, we got a few minutes to go. Why don't you go ahead and wrap up on your end? And I'm going to give a few final thoughts, and then we'll get out of here.
Yep.
And I hope that this has been really valuable for everybody. I hope that everybody on my side that didn't know you now knows you, has an opportunity to visit your site at Pest Posse TV to buy your book on Amazon. Why don't you go ahead and then I'll finish up.
Yeah. So like I was telling everybody, you want to know and really get some help with selling to commercial accounts. I strongly suggest you go into Pest Control Sales Authority. That easily can be found, like I said, pestpossesales.com /PCSA. I've set up that microsite there to really help you out. There is an opportunity if you want to have the ability to do some one-on-one mentoring with me and some sales stuff for your teams. There's ability to set up a free consultation with me to talk about that. That's an easy way for you to find the link to buy the book on Amazon. I've got some sales class there as well too for you on that site. So I'm just here to help you guys out. And like I said, really in closing, with commercial services, understand that you need to know that they are very detailed and in-depth, a long sales cycle. You need to define your niche, use the proper technology to provide a great proposal and a solution, and to track that sales process all the way along. And I'm here for you guys at any time you need it. Yeah, go and check out Pest Posse TV for a lot of free resources we have and our continuous training we have there, Pest Posse Academy. So that's kind of long and short of what I've got.
Well, thank you very much, Foster. We got about 2 minutes left. I'm going to close up. There's about 30 people left, and I would really appreciate if you just gave a little feedback in the comments. The next variation of this interview series from us here at Rhino Pest Control Marketing is actually going to be on high level, and it's really to address many of the things that Foster brought up on integrations back and forth and how do they work and so forth. But my takeaway as we move forward, and we're right in January, we're right at the first part of the year, is that you got to work. You got to work hard if you want to make this happen. You can't hope and wish. You really have to be, you have to have that desire to go get it. I would say that you really need to set yourself a dollar value goal. So whether it's 100 grand, 500 grand, $1 million, that you know what you're chasing after. Get organized, know your market, be knowledgeable about the pain points of the niche you've chosen in that marketplace so you can answer those problems, even though you know they're probably coming. And then to get yourself to understand the technology you're going to work and how to master it. And I'll even take it a little further and say, understand your own limitations to that technology, and then go find yourself some extra help. So with that, my name is Casey Lewis. This is the Pest Control Marketing Domination Podcast. And I think I'm going to end with our little closing music, and then we'll roll out of here. Thanks, Foster, and everybody have a great day.
You've been listening to the Pest Control Marketing Domination Podcast. If you own a pest control company anywhere in the country, by using our services, we will help you grow and prosper. Casey has 30 years in marketing and advertising under his belt. He managed and oversaw a sales force of 4,000 inside and outside sales reps, tasked to work with every pest control owner in the USA. Thanks for listening to the show. Make sure to like, rate, and review, and we'll be back soon. But in the meantime, find us on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, and YouTube at Rhino Digital Media. Let us take your digital marketing to the next level. See you next time on the Pest Control Marketing Domination Podcast.